should now be live. Good evening, everyone. I'm just going to double check everything is working on my end. It would appear to be all systems go. Hello, Walking with Birds. Hello, Kairu. I'm just going to give people a bit of a chance to sort of pop in, say hello, etc. How's everyone's Sundays been? Has anyone been up to anything interesting? Oh. I can see we're having a little bit of trouble with the stream, folks. Seems like we're losing a lot of frames. What's going on here? No, we're still losing frames. Why is the stream unstable? Okay, this is not good. It's really bad quality. I don't know what's going on today. Right over, Ensign. Sorry, I'm just trying to find out why the stream is losing frames at the moment. It's not doing very well. What's going on here? Nothing's changed. Okay, it looks like it's stabilized now. It was weird and kind of annoying. Anyway. I think we're okay. I think we're all okay. Yes, right. Anyway. Let's get going now that things are not so broken. So, I wanted to take a break from Jurassic Park Crete because I was starting to kind of get a bit meh with it, and yeah, Roberth offered to make me a map to build a park on, and this is the result. So Roberth has created this map for me from the Great Britain map using expanded islands, and we're going to build my new park here. Now, this is not going to be like a quick build series. I want to actually take my time with this particular build, but I'll just show you sort of what we have here on the map. So we've got a nice sort of a bay area here leading out to the ocean. Got a nice waterfall in the corner there. Over here, most of this island that most of you will recognize from the basic Jurassic World Evolution 2 Great Britain map, that's basically exactly the same. We then have sort of this central area has been expanded. We've got a nice river, a couple of waterfalls leading down to this sort of sheltered area here. Again, a couple of waterfalls. And then over here has been left mostly exactly the same as it was, I think. But Rob has just put in a nice river for us. Waterfall, obviously. And this sort of area of variated sort of mountainside. And we've got a little bit of map to play with down here as well. If I go to the map screen, you can see we've got quite a lot of space to play with here. So yeah, I'm looking forward to building on this. It reminded me, when I first saw it, it reminded me of Isla Ticanio, with the sort of the lake in the middle and the areas around the perimeter, which was one of my favorite maps. So yeah, I'm looking forward to building here. Now, one thing I am going to do before we go any further is just check what settings Rob put on here. On off, normal, on, enabled, disabled, all like, off, da, 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 da. Okay, calm, day, all biomes, Jurassic World. I'm actually gonna, I kind of want to switch and try and find something that's gonna make this look a little nicer. I think Alpine looks quite good, actually. What does Jurassic Park look like? Jurassic Park makes it look very warm, which would suit Great Britain, but I think we'll go with the Alpine. I like the slightly cooler look for it. I think it works. I would like to see the 5 death maps come back, Kairu. In fact, I think the video this week might be me discussing DLCs I'd like to see in the game. Hello, One Chef Frog. Right, so I've already had some ideas about how I want to build on this map. And what I want to do is actually start by creating a sort of typical British sort of hidden bay, sort of small town sort of thing. The sort of thing you get around Scotland and Wales. You'll often find these bays have like little British seaside towns in them. And what I want to do is basically create a ring around this, pretty much this whole bay, to make it look like it's been built by humans. Now, at first, I did want to use the enormous, where are they? These enormous pieces to do that with. You know, put one down, sink it down. But the problem with these is the double barrier. The double barrier is a bit of an inconvenience, because you can't really get rid of it. So, what I've decided to do, and this is going to take a little bit of time, but like I say, this is not going to be a quick build, because I don't want to rush this. But what I'm going to do is use path to create the concrete lining along the sort of seafront, then top it with a wall, and then put the path directly behind. I quite like this little raised bit here. I'm thinking about putting a lighthouse or something, maybe on this rock here, or a lighthouse equivalent, probably the watchtower. So I would probably want, at somewhere I want to make like a little dock area for like a boat to be delivering people here. So this is probably what that's going to be. Because having seen the sort of builds that Evo has been coming up with, I want to actually take my time on this one. Like, not rush it or anything. Plus, you know, if I'm taking my time, it gives me a chance to sort of talk to you guys more and be a little bit more, you know, relaxed about stuff. Now, not all of this is going to be concreted, because I think it makes sense for some bits to be just left natural. And also what I want to do is kind of build into these cliffs. So like try and sort of blend some buildings into the cliffs to make it look like, you know, there's a little town here. Because what I'm going for with this build is not necessarily a park, so to speak, but more of a conservation site, like where animals are living, not necessarily in a park scenario. That's the idea, anyway. So, let's get started down here. I do want this to kind of be as straight as I can get it. He says while making it on straight. It won't be 2 hours of terrain editing King Giga. But what I would say is, you know, I am here to build the park my way. I'm sorry if that becomes an annoyance for people wanting to just see dinosaurs, you know. I don't mind it sticking up above the waterline, because that makes sense. What I'm going for here is like a sea wall effect. I want I yeah, something like that. I think there's still grass underneath the water. Ah, there we go. That's a bit nicer. Get rid of all the grass that's underneath the water. This going where I want it to go. Yeah, that'll do-ish. Although I don't know what's going on there. That's better. Right, And then what I thought about doing is topping this with a standard proper wall. Now, I don't know if that one's a bit much for... See, I want it to look substantial, but not over the top. It's also got to like suit a seawall sort of setup. I think this one. I think this is the most suitable. Maybe one that's slightly lower. We'll go with this one. It's slightly lower, but I think it works. Why was that refusing to go there? Yeah, I've got a few jaggedy bits that I'm going to need dealing with, but for the most part, I'm happy with that. Cannot be overstated how much Jurassic World Evolution 2's terrain system really aggravates me. I think it's just such a bad system. It's like they've taken all the worst bits of the Planet Coaster system and kind of put it all together. It's so frustrating to get to do anything that you want, especially if you're trying to be precise. Okay, good. Now let's look at this town area. I want obviously a bit that's going to be like really close to the shore. Actually, let's kind of put that back. I quite liked having a bit of a raised area there. I think it's going to be easiest if I plateau it. Start with. Going back to old Jurassic World Evolution 1 techniques for Isla Muerta, especially, you know, find some natural plateau heights. Plateau it off. Thus. Now I quite like this. I know it's a bit steep, but I can do something with that. I'm thinking put like some houses in there, sort of on top of each other, and disguise it a bit. And then we got some nice sort of riverside housing. And here we've got like easily another plateau here. probably there's another one there. But that would probably be like the height of here will probably be as high as the town goes. Right. Sorry, I haven't been keeping a very close eye on chat. Let me just let me go and catch up. English is a weird language, walking with birds. I think ancient temples are really good backgrounds for dinosaur enclosures. I agree with you, Kyrie. Right, so I have also installed a few new mods. One of which being the mod that Evo is using in one of her builds. Just the path side of it, the retextures mod. And I really liked this brick paving. This sort of brick paving is very British. So what we're going to do is we're going to use it basically along the seafront. Crowding view off. I don't know anyone who actually runs with it on. Oh, damn it. Let's try that again. So I was thinking about building a bridge to get up over here, but I don't think that's going to be possible given how sort of high this is. So what I'm thinking is we could easily create a sort of enclosure for some dinosaurs sort of in here. That's the hope, anyway. That seems a little thick. Really? It is. I thought that was stupidly thick, but it's really not. Ah, hello, Evo. How are you enjoying smacking the forces of Nod around? I thought that was stupidly thick. Was the first thing I had. Yeah, starting as we mean to go on, I suppose, with this particular build. Now, British seaside towns are not known for being sort of large or having very wide roads. So this is going to be a sort of frontier-esque interpretation of British seaside town. So I think what we're going to do is... I quite like this bit as being one section. I think this area where we're sort of curving, I think this is going to be where we sort of progress into the town. You know what? I don't think we can really call this a British seaside town. If we don't have... we need to make that a little bigger. We're building a park in Britain. You've got to have some roundabouts. Now, I would go as far as to say if you're building a park in Britain and you don't have a roundabout, you're not building in Britain. It's as simple as that. Frontiers poorly optimized. Well, it's funny you should say that, Evo. A lot of British towns are very badly optimized. Because a lot of our towns were obviously built a lot of British towns were built before like everyone had cars and stuff. Like one of the biggest problems with London is that London has expanded massively since it was created, but a lot of the infrastructure is still Victorian, which is why it's basically to get around London you don't use cars. A lot of British towns, oddly enough, we would need to like completely demolish and start again to optimize them. Hello Jordan, welcome to this stream. Okay, so British towns don't commonly have much in the way of decoration and gaps, but let's assume for this invented town. Also, the bay, it's this map, I've already come up with a name, and the name is going to be Winston Bay, in honor of Winston Churchill, since it was VE Day this week. This is going to be Winston Bay. And what we're going to assume that like the people that live here the rest of the time when guests and tourists aren't coming here have kind of lent into the dinosaur presence and are gonna make a big deal of it. So we are going to, you know, put plenty of decoration in and stuff. Oh, yes, so at last Viral Cyclops has completely finished putting in all of the objects that I wanted him to put into my mod. He's working on one last thing for me, which is getting some new flag designs on this flagpole here. He's seeing if we can get some, how easy it is to get some new versions of flags on this pillar. And then the mod will be ready to be properly released. Which I'm very much looking forward to. But one thing I am going to do then in here is start putting in some decoration. How many? Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Look how cute these are. Have they still got lighting, actually? They do. Look, you can even light them up. In different lighting colors. See, this mod is going to be surprisingly helpful, I think, for a lot of people's builds. Right. And then I'm thinking, I'm just sort of thinking about what I want to do down here. Probably want to start putting in like shops. The problem is with Jurassic World Evolution is that the shops aren't really very European. So I'm going to try and do everything I can to get the shops to remain, or to try to get the shops to feel like they're British. So probably sticking to concrete, but I feel like switching to panels will give us better color option. British towns, especially seaside towns, do love a good awning. Oh, coloration. So, to actually make it work for a British seaside town, we're gonna have to kind of mix up the colors for pretty much every amenity, which is gonna take time. But I'm not gonna do every one of them on stream, but let's just start with this one. I quite like the idea of this one being like a white with like a blue. Oh, this changes the color of the... Yeah, we'll stick with the same blue. And the roof will keep black with this one. Lighting will make orange. And signage, we'll make this like a fish and chip shop. That's like the most British thing ever, is fish and chips. And basically we're just going to kind of do the same thing with each building. So this one will have that in the middle. This one we're going to say they didn't go with awnings. Thatch is a bit much. We're going to say this one they were boring. They just went with a normal parapet. But maybe they were going to have something outside instead. This one will make like... We'll make it like a coffee shop. Well, actually, should we try and do like a... Oh, what are the colours of like a Starbucks or something? They're kind of like a deep red, aren't they? So let's go with like a deep red with like a light red, just to kind of Mickey take... I mean, Pret-a-Manger is that sort of coloration as well. Decoration, it hasn't got any, so it doesn't really matter. Starbucks is green. Well, we'll go with Pret-a-Manger then. I think Pret-a-Manger is the red, right? And this... Oh, I might have been thinking of Costa Coffee, actually. I never realised that the parapet had that weird thing around it. So, British... One thing that everyone seems to know about Britain is that our buildings are all really close together. So we're gonna try and stick with that. If this is a fish and chip shop, then I think it makes sense for it to have some outdoor seating. This is not going to be authentic sushi. Shall we change that quickly? This is change the drink. There we are. There you go. What sort of decoration can find it tricky. That's not too bad, actually. That works. I'm happy with that. That one works. Ooh. Hello, Joshua. Sorry, I'm not doing a very good job keeping an eye on chat tonight, am I? Oh, we gotta have... Matthew's right. We've got to have a Greg's. We need to have a Greg's here somewhere. You know what? I think a Greg's on this roundabout makes a whole heap of sense. If for those of you who are not aware, Greg's is a type of bakery establishment in the UK that is well known for its sausage rolls. Although I do think my local bakery, which is privately owned and run, does do better sausage rolls. Also, I'm like, as much as I like Greg's, I prefer to support my local business, and I stick to my local bakery. Yeah, I think this is cooling out to be a Greg's. Now, Evo was able to do this thing, wasn't she? Where if you just I see. So if you just nudge it down slightly. Well, you know, why did they even bother? I'm not going to get started. Let's not get started with this, that line of questioning. Right. Greg's is the McDonald's of bakeries. That's such a good way of explaining it, Matthew. Greg's is blue and orange, isn't it? I think it makes sense. Let's make this like a really posh Greg's. Let's gonna say that they've got like upstairs seating and all sorts. Trees and rocks, I like these. You know, I'm already thinking of an expansion to the mod that Viral Cyclops is making for me. Something like these would be definitely one of the things I would ask him to take out. We don't really have a signage for sausage rolls. I suppose Waffles is probably as close. Waffles is probably as close to it as we've got for a bakery. We'll just say that, like, in the near future, Greg's expands to trying to sell waffles. There we go. Right, Greg's has, like, a really bright blue coloration to it. Like, something like that. And then their secondary color is, like, an orange. I'm pretty sure they are. Hang on, I'm going to have to look up a Greg's online. Greg's Bakery. Images. Yeah, like the signs in that blue, and then they've got like 4 orange squares next to them. Like, I'm almost tempted to try to make like 4 little squares in orange. I don't think we have anything that I could use for that. But that's definitely the orange. If anything, it needs to be like a little more orange. There. That's the orange right there. Donuts would also work. That's true. What color should we have the roof? Let's be like... Greg's painted their roof orange. That's such a tacky thing that Greg's would totally do. Donut. There we go. And we've got our I'm even going to rename. I'm actually going to rename this one to Greg's. There we go. And we'll rename this one as well. This one was this one was Pretimanger. I think that's how you spell it. It's French. I don't know. And we're just going to call this one Fish and Chips. There we go. That's so British. That's already so British. And yeah, I think like if we did something over here, do we have something for viewing we could use here? It's a little big to fit in that gap. No, I feel like we could just make this like a little riverside sort of thing. We're gonna need to do some work here. That's a little bit... That's what she said. Etho, I think you've been looking at those Jurassic World Rebirth pictures too much. I think it's making you a little... thirsty, by chance? I don't see it personally. He's definitely not my sort of man. But each to their own. JWR pictures? You know exactly what I'm referring to. She claims innocence. This is quite a common rock colour around the UK, so quite happy with using it. It's a bit untidy, but I don't mind. I just don't see it, Berenson. Like, he's alright, but... Dunno. He's no Jason Momoa. that's all I'm gonna say in that regards. Right. I'm actually gonna put in a wooden. It's not very British. In fact, the only place I've seen fences like this is zoos, but that's fine. that's so nasty. I don't like that. No, 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 no. I do not like that. We are taking our time today. That doesn't mean we accept shit like that. No, no, no. That's better. Honestly, I can't wait to see what people start doing with these mods. This mod now. Like, it was expensive. But, you know, Viral Cyclops does good work. And I was happy to commission him. Actually going to put the fence in all the way to the back. Because this area here, what I'm thinking of doing is just putting in lots of rocks behind this. Preferably big ones. Or, hang on. Idea has occurred. I could still use this. We can make it like a moxie wall behind this, or a mock wall. And then we can just bring this forwards. And we can place down other things here just to disguise that a bit. Actually, to be honest, we could probably just do something like this. And we can still put buildings up here and stuff. Like I say, this is going to be a park where there's, well, not really a park, but more of a place people live that just happens to have dinosaurs. You get this sort of thing all over Britain, where like they put the path right up onto the angles. It is definitely something that happens a lot. I'm thinking. Let's lean into them. Yeah, they want to lean into the fact they've got dinosaurs nearby, so we're going to have plenty of signage. Viral has made some good money from us, definitely. But, like, I'm happy to have done it. Because I honestly... Like, I knew that having these sort of objects would be really useful. But having just in my own experience, seeing where I've been using them and all, I actually think it's, like, going to be one of those mods that people don't realize how useful it is to have the bits until they're actually using them, and it's like, oh my god, how did we survive without them for this long? That's a little nicer. Probably wouldn't get this sort of stuff growing on... because this would be brackish water. We wouldn't get stuff like that growing on brackish water. Brackish water, for those of you who don't already know, is water that's not 100% salty or 100% fresh, or rather 100% seawater or 100% fresh water. It's somewhere in the middle. It's called brackish. There's your education for the day. You did know that, ah. Honestly, I can't believe that it took watching Evo doing this to make me realize that this is such a good way of getting like flowers in your park. I never did it before I saw her do it that one time, and I was like, oh shit, that's such an obvious idea. Why wasn't I doing this before? Need some charity shops, Turkish barbers, and a mobile phone repair store. Matthew calling out the country here. Also, you forgot the other really important high street thing. Nail salons. The ability to sync stuff is definitely OP. I mean, you just have to ask the Argentinians that when we sank the Belgrano. Oof. There's your... there's your Fletcher is political for the day. Now, what I would love to have here is a little fucking education site. But we don't have any education sites because Frontier don't know what the things are that we want in our game. So we're going to have to try to put something in there that could be an education site. That would work, but it also at the same time doesn't work in it. So that's a tad big. That's a tad big. That sort of thing works, but then we'd have to... You know what? I actually really like Yamanosaurus, so let's actually put Yamanosaurus opposite. And we'll actually have a little... We'll put some Yamanosaurus flags up. suppose it makes sense that these... I've used the wrong flags here. I just realized. I now cannot grab the flag. No, let me grab the... Let me... Why? Why? Why can I not grab the flag? Why is it still suggesting that I can... I've decided those flags can remain as they are. Honestly, with Move It mod is a great idea, but sometimes you have to be so careful that you're using it, that you're putting down what you really want to put down. Hello, Doctor. Yeah, the problem with dedicated wish lists is I feel that the dedicated wish lists really demonstrate how divided the Jurassic World Evolution community is about what they actually want from Control 1. What they actually want from an evolution game. Because the wish lists are very divided between like those that are really hyper for combat, and then you've got those that really aren't. And I think the wish lists really demonstrate how divided the community is about those things. I also worry the Frontier listens too much to one particular side of the community. In dereliction of the other side. Hello, Dane. You're supposed to be enjoying your holiday. Why are you here? Aww. You do also realize now that you've just basically been cute in front of all the people in this stream. Just putting it out there that you've now gone and done the very thing that you said that you're not in front of everyone in this stream. So, I know it might be a bit unrealistic, but what I want to try and do is create, for the Manosaurus, a sort of enclosure that's almost a bit like something I saw for Markhor goats at Edinburgh's, not at Edinburgh, the King Craig Mountain Zoo that me and Dane went to in our holiday. If you haven't seen the video detailing our holiday, it is up on the channel. It was a really good holiday. We went to some very interesting places. But yeah, the King Craig Highlands Wildlife Sanctuary. Dane, you literally just said on stream, I wanted to hear your voice. If that doesn't denote you as kind of being cute and adorable, I don't know what else does. I agree that with you, Doctor, that JWE3 definitely needs to focus on improving the park building aspect of the game instead of improving the... I would almost say that the dinosaurs do not need to be improved. But the dinosaurs do need to be improved. But what I mean is, I would take all of the animals potentially as they are now. If, big if, the other aspects of park building were addressed. Like, if they sorted out, like, the attractions and gave us more to build with, and just made building easier, I would accept the animals as they are and accept them working on the animals later on. I mean, I know this is going to sound really against my usual positioning about this sort of thing. I kind of wish that they would just release the game in early access. Like, a lot of games, a lot of companies these days, they release it in early access so that we accept that we're not going to get a really hyper experience. They release it at a slightly cheaper price. But we accept the fact that, you know, in early access, things are going to be broken, but we're going to be working towards a better experience in the end. I think one of the problems I have about Jurassic World Evolution 2, and in fact Jurassic World Evolution 1, and kind of how Frontier works as a business overall, is all of its games are basically early access games, and they take about 3 or 4 years to get to a point where they're not early access anymore, but they charge AAA price tag prices. I would hate them a lot less if they just accepted the early access model and said to it, you know, was honest with us, you know. I suppose that's my real problem with Frontier, is they feel so damn dishonest as a video game company. Then again, pretty much every video game company feels dishonest these days. Okay. So this is kind of where I want the Manosaurus to be. This is going to be the little habitat. This is not drinkable water, I assume. That's going to bugger up that view quite a bit. We also wouldn't want them down here drinking brackish water. That just doesn't make much sense. So... let's just give him some water up here. And then we can always... hang on. Let's just do a little bit of river editing here. We can give him like a nice little waterfall here. I know this is pretty... I'm guessing this is pretty boring for most of you, that I'm just messing around with terrain and stuff. But this is... I feel like I need to do this more. Like, having watched Evo make some of her stuff for the Japan build, I feel like this is the sort of thing that is necessary. Like, to just take your time and, like, really hyper-focus on getting something looking way you want it to look. Okay, happy with that. Why can't Jurassic World Evolution 3 have some features, have the same features as Planet Zoo or Planet Coaster? Why is it called Jurassic World when the game misses half the things in Jurassic World? I suspect, as I said in my big 4-hour-long retrospective review about Jurassic World Evolution 2, if you haven't seen it, go and watch it. Put it on in the background when you're doing something else. But I suspect one of the reasons why a lot of the Planet Coaster and Planet Zoo features are not in this game is that Universal were concerned that Planet Zoo and Planet Coaster are good but very niche titles. They appeal to a select part of the sim game building population. The fact remains that simulation games like City Skylines, Planet Zoo, Planet Coaster, they account for only 1 in 10 game sales in the US, at least. Those are the only figures I've ever been able to find. But 1 in 10 is not a very good metric as far as probably Universal is concerned. So they probably wanted a game that appeals to a general dinosaur audience more than a sim game building audience. Now, there are advantages and disadvantages to that method of thinking. I personally think it's not necessarily a bad thing to simplify some aspects of sort of sim game building for a different audience. I do think for both Jurassic World Evolution 1 and 2, however, Frontier went too far with it and created an experience that neither satisfies the casual audience or satisfies the non-casual audience. I think Jurassic World Evolution 2 actually fails the audiences more than Jurassic World Evolution 1 did in a weird way. As for the prices of video games, I think it's absolutely extraordinary that there are some really scary figures going around for how much GTA 6 is going to cost. There's some rumors that it's going to cost $100, which I think is very likely. There are some even more extreme rumors that it's going to cost, for like the full like Pucker Deluxe Edition, $300. Now that is absolutely insane. Absolute insanity. And people will pay it as well, which makes it even more insane. It is, but it's GTA 6. People will pay that money because it's GTA. I personally never been into the GTA series. I don't like the way that it has particularly hateful messaging. In fact, it's already... So... I'm gonna take a brief break. So I saw today there are apparently reports that as part of GTA 6 there's going to be random occurring events, one of which is going to be gay pride parades. The comment section was disgusting. Just the worst sorts of people making the worst sorts of comments. And I know it's just a video game, but I think it's really kind of disgusting behavior. Okay, this looks good. I like this little waterfall we've got here. I want to go quite heavy with the rock linings. Just because it really helps break up the terrain a bit. I don't have to do it all over the show, but I find like doing it in some places just helps. Honestly, one of my biggest wishes for Jurassic World Evolution 3 is for them to overhaul the terrain texture system so that we can actually have decent terrain textures at last. Like, the ability to have more than 6 terrain textures. Honestly, if I was in charge of Jurassic World Evolution 3, I'll tell you what I would do. There would be, like... I would make 6 textures that are kind of generic, everyday textures that every single map you could use them on any of the maps. Doesn't matter. Like, there would probably be like a really nice sand, there'd be like a really nice stone, a really nice grass, a really nice mud, like a dirty mud color, and maybe a really nice kind of gravel. I really miss shale. My god, I miss shale so much. I'm sorry, I just got triggered when I was talking about that. I miss the shale brush so much. Honestly. We need shale. We need shale back. Anyway. But yeah, like a really nice gravel. Like have those 6 textures. And then every biome would then come with another 6 that were specific to that biome. So all in all, you'd have 12 different textures that you could use on each map. I don't think that's unreasonable, and I don't think it's excessive for a map generator to handle that number either. Jesus, I was doom scrolling on my phone and that. I miss shale. Wake me up. Sorry, Evo. But it's true. I really fucking miss the shale. Like, I remember when it came to Jurassic World Evolution 1, we were all kind of a bit... Like, we weren't particularly that impressed with it. But I really, really miss it. You don't know how worth something is. You know, you don't know how good you've got it until you know, it's gone, isn't it? That's the old thing. Right, I'm going to make this quite a rocky pool. I want this to be kind of like a It's just like a natural rock pool that's kind of filled up. But we'll maybe have like... I have like a slightly sandy-ish area where obviously the dinosaurs are coming in and nomming. And then I think it makes sense that we put the food down at this end. Don't like how empty this area is over here of trees. And we're just gonna put like shrubs. We're going to use some very low intensity. See, like this, I'm so tempted actually to see if I can do this as a mod, because we've got like this grass texture and then this one. And I'm not being funny, but I would replace this one with shale. I wonder how difficult that would be to do. Anyway. Just want to put some like low intensity like dirt from here. Just to make it look like they climb up here regularly to sort of get to the water. These are really nice. These white flowers. They're really pretty. What I think we also need to do is we just need to add like... I think we need to add a few more trees just here and there. Especially up here as well. I honestly, Guillermo, I honestly do miss some of the Jurassic World Evolution 1 skins. I do think some of the Jurassic World Evolution 1 skins were better than Jurassic World Evolution 2's. I kind of miss the Indominus Rex's ones, the Spinosaurus ones, Spinoraptors, Stegoceratopses. There were some really good... The Suchomimus skins were really good as well, yeah. I really hope... So, one of the things I really hope for the next game is that they kind of expand upon the skin system by giving us an alternative pattern that we can apply, as well as alternatives colors. Like, I want to be able to switch between particular patterns on the dinosaurs as well as the colors. I don't really think it would be too difficult for them to do something like that, because at the end of the day, all you're doing is you're literally just adding a couple of skin textures, and then you just apply the colors to them. I don't see it as being overly excessively tough to do. This is Frontier, of course. They make everything more difficult than it needs to be, but I feel like the option of having, you know, just some different, even if it was just like you could choose between a stripe pattern or a spotted pattern, like it would just be, it's one of those little things. And that, I suppose if I could meet Frontier and say to them, look, this is the one thing I want you to take away from everything I'm saying. It's the stuff that the players who love your game want, you know, the things that we want you to do are really small changes. We don't want huge stuff. There's just a few really small things that you could do, and we would adore you for it. Just really small alterations to things. I think this is looking good for Yamanosaurus. Now, I'm assuming they will walk into this water. I'm assuming. So I think what I'm going to do is invisible wall. I will give them some of this water, just like in case they want to like wallow or whatever. Now remember, the point of this build is kind of, I suppose this is like a Dominion build. Like this is a small British town that just happens to have dinosaurs living here, and they're taking advantage of it for tourism. You know? Oh shit, where's the... where's the... Oh, there it is. I lost... That's the only problem with the invisible fence. You lose it. There we go. Excellent. Let's go get some Yamanosaurus. So there is actually some dinosaurs in this particular... No, actually, yeah, let's overwrite. Because I can just download. Should anyone want this map, actually, I will put it on the Discord. I'll ask Rob, but I'm sure he won't mind. I shall put it on the Discord. And you guys are free to build your own. Right. That did save, right? Yep. Back to main menu. I'm still baffled by that excuse from Rebirth. Like, we don't, as Evo has said, and as I have said many, many times, we don't need modular building. What we need is the expansion of the amenity modification system. I want to try. I want to give it a name, but it's. I haven't thought of one yet. I suppose it's not modular building. It's modular variability. The option to variate the big stuff in the game from pre-selected modules. I have many new dinosaurs, by the way. Oh, actually, because there's a couple of mods that have come out recently that I'm really think are worth having. This guy is by far one of my favorites that I have installed. It's a fluffy sauropod, and I fucking am here for it. I absolutely love this guy. It is adorable. The patterns don't really work too well, and the colors are a bit sort of dulled, but I don't mind it. I think it's absolutely adorable. It's so cute. This is that meme from Despicable Me, isn't it? It's so fluffy. It's adorable. And look, it looks like he's wearing boots. Yes, Antarctosaurus. It's available on Nexus Mods. There has been a new mod which finally corrects the face of the Camarasaurus, so it's not so ugly. There is your before. There is your after. This one, the patterns are all broken. However, you get a good range of color variation. Anyway. There was Decentrurus. This guy, I'm kind of on the fence if I'm going to keep this one, because only the first 5 patterns work. But it's a nice spiky sauropod, stegosaur. And there was, I'm pretty sure there was a 4th species. Oh, someone has finally fixed the mosasaur. So you get something that looks a little bit nicer than Jurassic World Evolution's mosasaur. One where actual skin colors work on the damn thing. I'm most looking forward to the Spinosaurus, if I'm honest, Evo. I really do, like, if it's the one thing I can say I do like about those trailers, I am kind of a fan of the Spino. Doesn't make up for the movie, well, the trailers at least showing the movie to be a pile of old 3-week-old tripe. But the Spino I am here for. I think that was all the mods I installed today. The Moser, the Kamara, the Antarcto, and the Decentrurus. I think those were the accurate Camaro. Yeah, because the other one was my mod. And right, so Yamanosaurus. This is a mod by Luca, the same guy who's done the Devonian Predators and the Ancient Amphibians. This was his first mod, kind of a prototype. I'm a head to bed and dream of fluffy sauropods. You sleep well, Evo. This guy has some really nice, simple skins. So, I think, given the type of park we're going for here, I think we absolutely 100% have to do male and female variation. So let's have a look at for a male coloration first. We can add color through the patterns. I do kind of like the bright green for the male coloration. What does that look like on some of our others? Given the kind of environment that they're in, that sort of rocky gorge kind of hill goat, I kind of dig the grey. Although, is there one like that? I kind of like this though, with kind of, it looks like, if I remove the pattern, it kind of looks like it's got moss or it's made from brass, and it's slowly not brass, bronze, and it's slowly changing color. I don't think we need more feathered dinosaurs in JWE3. I think we need more non-dinosaur animals. We need to start having Paleozoic, as far as I'm concerned. Like, we can we can make those the males and those the females. Oh, that one looks even more mossy, doesn't it? Okay, your choice. Do we go with the sort of mossy coloured, sort of green-backed patterning? Or do we go with the sort of rocky gorge kind of patterning? You'd love a fuzzy Inos Transivia. That would be quite fun. You like the Yukon River, Kairu? See, what would we pair that with? We could give the male like the ochre striping. That works quite nicely. And maybe give the females, maybe remove the green color entirely for the females. Just make them kind of light like that. I think that's what we'll do. So, Yamana. males, Yukon River and Papurana. Females are... Is that one? Females are Limpopo River. And we'll just have no pattern on these. Right. I just think we need more non-dinosaur animals. I'm not convinced they have to be Cenozoic. I feel like people have leapt on this idea that, oh, we need new animals for the game. Oh, well, let's add Cenozoic animals. And I'm like, okay, but the Cenozoic, you've got what? Mammoths, saber-toothed cats, Paraceratherium, that sort of thing. But, like, what about Gorgonopsids? What about Edaphosaurus? What about giant insects? What about all of the marine life from pre-Triassic period? You know, there's a huge amount of possibilities for the Paleozoic. I think the Paleozoic has more variability in animals than the Cenozoic, because you've got so many different animal groups in that period that would be great to have. Yeah, Moschops, Esteminosuchus. I really like the Chasmatosaurs, which are basically like crocodiles with really slim legs, which would look really weird, but I think they're kind of cool. Yukon River and Papurana. I think... How big is this space? I think one male and 2 female. Let's go with that for now. Yeah, Dinosuchus and Sarcosuchus could fill that niche as well. This is a bit of a steep climb for them, but like I said, I don't necessarily mind that. I do want this to be a bit... I just really like the idea of this space. Like, it's just a normal British seaside town that just happens to have dinosaurs living nearby. There he is. There's our male. There's our females. Actually, I think we can... I think it's... I think we can double up a little bit. I think we can definitely give them another male. And I definitely think another female. They sure have long tails. Cute. I am a little bit concerned that that might be a bit far away from him. So I might just create like a... just a little patch of water down here in this area. Just to make sure of it. Oops. We don't want our little Yamanosaurus to... be not able to drink. Right. This one, like... sandy. I feel like I want to add some more decoration here. Oops. Okay, let's not move that one. I'm going to put in some lily pads. Now, I saw what Evo did the other day to put in the lily pads. Such a good idea. I'd been placing them down separately. When I saw her do it all in one go, I was like, oh my fucking god. How have I not been doing this before? Okay, so if I understand correctly, I have to put it in advanced move. Oh, shit. There we go. Then freeform. Did it just... It... Ah, it fell through the thingy, didn't I? Didn't it? Okay. Let's try that again. Freeform. We can just place these. Such an easy way of doing it. Cute. I like it. We do need a lot of the vegetation, I feel, from Planet Zoo should really be transplanted over. I feel like you'd be a bit screwed if you were hoping to see them from down here. But I suppose this is the whole point. We want these guys to be not massively visible. I suppose what we could do is we could always place in here a viewing log and have it attached to one of these areas down here. I don't know. I feel like it goes against the conservation sort of idea to... Oh, you're almost there, dude. Well done. I don't know. What do you guys think? Should we give them like an actual, like a viewing log or something to actually see them, or should we stick to this sort of... This is a British seaside town that just happens to have dinosaurs living near it sort of perspective? So I'm okay with either one, because obviously there's this empty wall here. You do like the conservation aspect. Stick with what you got. Okay, we're sticking with what we have. I suppose you could always put a balloon ride or something in. Okay, so I'm just thinking about what to do now with the rest of this. So I do want to put in another piece of this. That kind of lines up with the Gregs. If I move it over just a smidge. Well, I suppose this bit at the back is just like I'm going to put other buildings and stuff up here, so this will all be hidden. I just wanted something that looks like a bit like a sea wall or a concrete wall to put up here. Just behind these shops and stuff. Because this sort of thing you do see where I used to live in Brighton. They've got massive brick, well, stone brick walls that run up the cliffs, basically, to keep the cliffs away from the beach. It's quite a marvel of Victorian engineering, really. I think a sort of small little seating area down here is called for. And I think we'll make use of this lovely cobblestone. Personally, I don't like this cobblestone as much as the brick. I think I would have preferred something a little simpler. I also think it's... I think the colour's a bit strange, to be honest. But it works for a little seating area. I suppose we could do with a wall to surround it. And again, I want to stick to something that feels very sort of British. How shall we do this? Shall we have like... Actually, it's nice, but it's going to take too many pieces. Oh, you... I do hate it when that happens. As much as I like that wall section, it would just take too many of them. So we're just going to use sort of the broken sandstone wall. It's not 100% local British stone, but, you know, I think it does the job better than other stuff we have. I do quite like the idea of having some plant pots here. Maybe a few little wooden planters. You see these sorts of things everywhere, these wooden planter pots. Especially in railway stations. Like, one of the things that a lot of railway stations seem to do is take old railway sleepers and turn them into plant pots like that. Quite like the idea of having just like a nice little artistic sculpture of some sort here. Yeah. The thing about these, like, big sails is I don't really feel they do a very good job at providing shade. Let's find some tables and chairs to put in here. Again, you wouldn't really see these sorts of tables and chairs around the UK. You're more likely to see these sorts of style of things, like picnic tables. But let's say the local Pret-a-Manger. This is all their seating. Let's remove that one and that one. Good tip for your seating areas: if you want to make them look more realistic, put a couple of umbrella down variants in there just to add a little bit of variation to the build. I think that's actually quite pretty. I'm not sure what to do in between these trees here. I'll think of something. Maybe just hedges. I quite like the Greg's Bakery. That's such a good idea. This is going to take a long time to build, though. Like I say, this build is not going to be quick, shut and done. This is going to be something that I take a lot of time on. Like, I'm expecting this build not to be done before JWE3 comes out, frankly. I want to take my time. I'm not eager to build parks quickly anymore. Next time, I think I might, like, tackle the building of the lighthouse and maybe the building of the dock area. Maybe doing a bit more. I might do some homework. And no, actually, I won't be able to do homework in the week because all of next week I'm editing my prehistoric park retrospective review. I've got an hour. It's about an hour and 20 minutes long. But I'm going to be spending most of next week editing that. There might not be a video on Wednesday the week after. There's one for next week, but the week after I might not have had time to do one because of the prehistoric park video. But obviously, if I get the prehistoric park one done, it'll be then. But yeah, so I will see you guys on Friday. There's no stream on Wednesday again. Fallout and Co are still busy on Wednesday, so there'll be nothing on Wednesday apart from my video. But I'll see you guys on Friday, and we'll decide, figure out what we want to play on Friday. But yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. I hope the rest of your Sundays go great. I hope you have a nice evening. And until next time, stay safe and good night.